Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Soulivity Live. My name is Brian Wesley Johnson, and I am so glad you joined us because we have such a great show for you today. We have research scientist and author Kathryn Tristan with us, and I can't wait to chat with her. We've been talking off air, and we got so much good stuff to share with you. But before I get into today's show, I want to report some sad news of the world. Iconic hero and United States Representative John Lewis has passed away after a 6-month battle with cancer. Lewis, the son of sharecroppers who survived a brutal beating by police during the landmark 1965 march in Selma, Alabama, became a towering figure of the civil rights movement and a longtime U.S. congressman. He was 80 years old. As we send our condolences, prayers, and support to all of his family, we will continue to honor his legacy of battling fear and ignorance wherever it may live. Thank you, John, for your service to our nation and the world. We really appreciate you. So let's get to today's show, shall we? You know the wonderfully memorable song of Bob Marley, Three Little Birds, Don't Worry About a Thing? Well, in this song, he describes waking up in the morning to find 3 little birds at his doorstep singing to him. And they were singing, that iconic phrase, don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be all right. You remember that? Now, when I hear this song, I am instantly put in a state of calm. There's something about the words and the music that just get to me. And while this may be true for an instant, even I find myself getting concerned or worried about a myriad of different things going on in my world. And I am sure that I am not alone. My guess is that many of you are going through the same thing each and every day. Well, today's guest is going to help us all in learning how to stop worrying and start living. In her new book, Why Worry? Kathryn Tristan describes the process of how and why we worry, as well as steps to knock fear out of the driver's seat so that we can truly take control of our lives. Kathryn is a research scientist and an assistant professor of medicine at the faculty of Washington University School of Medicine. She studies the immune system. She has written or co-authored more than 300 articles in leading scientific or lay publications. She has also spoken and made presentations at international conferences. Her many articles have appeared in publications as diverse as Parade magazine, all the way to genetic engineering and biotechnology news. So with all of this fantastic introduction, I am so excited to welcome Kathryn Tristan to Soulivity Live. Let me get her on here. Hey, Kathryn, how are you, hon?
I am wonderful today. It's a beautiful day here in St. Louis, and I'm so thankful you had me on your show.
Oh, man, I am so glad you could make it. Now, everybody, remember, we love your questions. So remember, just post the questions right to our live feeds, wherever you are, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, wherever it is, and we're going to get to them as soon as we can. So, Kathryn, oh, man, why worry? Man, I am loving this book. I am really loving this book. Before we start digging into this, what made you write this? I mean, what was your inspiration? You're a research scientist. You study the immune system, as I was saying in the opening. But there must be a connection for you, maybe even personally, that drove you to writing this fabulous book. So why don't we begin there?
No, you're absolutely right. You'd say, why is a scientist writing about worry? Unless you're writing about the biochemistry of worry. And the thing is, I'm writing from a personal standpoint. This book is totally from the heart. in my effort to give back what I've learned, because for many years, had severe anxiety, and anxiety disorder, panic attacks. Was so bad for me that I was not able to leave the St. Louis area for over 10 years, because I was
Wow.
afraid of having these panic attacks, and I thought maybe this was safe. And
Mm.
so I tried, some therapy, and never really did too much on the medicine, but tried various things. And I was able to live a pretty good life, raised two kids, had my job at the university. But I eventually was able to draw from a lot of different experiences, from the mind, from the body, and the spirit. And being spiritual, once I learned these lessons, that is what helped me overcome this, and not just some of my worries, but all of my worries. And I mean, you're still supposed to have worry, but I know how to deal with it now. And a lot of people don't. And this is my effort to give back some of the simple strategies that people can use to help themselves, because I still use these strategies for me. And
Mm.
so that's the whole point, is being able to bounce back from these challenges when you have them.
Wow. So everybody, she's practicing what she's preaching. So that's
I
even
am.
better. Um, let's jump into this great book. Um, in the first chapter, there's a great quote. I mean, there's great quotes that are in this book that like set up every chapter. And it's yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. That's why we call it the present. Why do we worry so much? Why, I mean, we could find time to do a whole bunch of other stuff, but why do we worry?
Well, I can tell you, it's a powerful and built-in emotion.
Mm,
You are supposed to worry. You think about it, why we are the culmination of how many generations from caveman and woman time. It was the ones who worried more, maybe were more fearful, that survived. So what we are today is a culmination of who's able to survive and continue. And it's such a powerful emotion, and it's designed to help us. And so
mm,
the problem is there's something called negativity bias, which means that we're going to go to the dark side first, the worst side first, because theoretically that is what will protect us. And so that's what gets out of whack. We have to learn how to moderate our biology, and
mm.
it's a first response, but we have to learn how to temper that.
Wow. Okay. So this is really about um, embracing this natural process that lives within us. I mean, I think you talk about it as our core power, right?
Right.
Which is fabulous. I love that terminology. And then you go into the next chapter, which again starts with a beautiful quote from one of my favorites, Mark Twain. I've been through some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened.
Don't you love it? It's true. It's true of all of us.
And you describe the worry spectrum. What is the worry spectrum?
So the worry spectrum basically takes us from a minor concern to maybe an anxiety attack and everything in between. And what starts out, and it can go either way, what starts out as a concern can elevate when that concern hasn't been resolved
Mhm.
to more worry, because it hasn't been resolved. So it's percolating in your mind looking for a solution. And if there still isn't a solution coming, then you maybe focus on it a little bit more. That's your mind's way of saying, we haven't figured this out yet. We need to keep worrying about this. And so maybe it ramps it up. Now it's bringing in some of your biology, sort of that fight or flight system,
Mhm.
because now you're becoming, what was just in your mind is now becoming physical. It's becoming that anxious feeling that you have. And then if things still aren't resolved, then, and depending on your own biology, that can also pop into a panic attack. If things are not resolved, you're not taking care of your stresses, you're trying to bury them, it's going to pop out. So the worry spectrum takes you from a minor concern to a panic attack and everywhere in between. And at each step, we can intervene to try to help ourselves or even to express our emotions instead of stuffing it. Then it won't proceed because at least we're recognizing we have a problem we can't solve, but we're recognizing it and not stuffing it.
Okay, so let's go through. You have this beautiful, picturesque description of the worry spectrum, and it's colored. It's a color code. Let's go through that really quickly. So, I say, what color is your worry? The first color is red. What does red in the worry spectrum mean?
So red, it almost follows a chakra type of system. If you look at your base chakra, it's that's the color red. And red is associated with heat and the heart and pumping blood. So the when it's the color red means it's ramped up very high. You're in fight or flight mode. So
Okay.
that's red. Red worry is like pay attention to me because your whole body is paying attention, and I'm trying to figure things out. Which way do I need to go? Fight or flee?
Wow. So almost like, you can just red stop sign. Stop. Okay, wait a minute. Time to assess what's going on here,
Danger, danger,
right?
danger. Right. We're sensing the very strong danger signal, and that is going to affect your entire body from your thoughts to your biology. Yeah, the adrenaline could be surging. Cortisol is kicking in. So red is just like the idea of the red flag. The idea of red means action or intensity.
Wow. Okay. And then we go from red to orange. Now, what does orange in the worry spectrum mean?
So orange in the worry spectrum to me means, we're not really talking fight or flight so much, but we're talking your creativity. Where are you with your creativity? Are you squashing it? I've got a job as an accountant, but you want to be an artist, and so you're never quite resolved. You're in an unsettled state of being. And so to me, the orange state of worry tends to be a creativity sense. Where are you, and are you following your dreams, or are you stuck someplace? And then again, you have thoughts related to that all the time or floating in the background.
Okay. Okay. And then we go from orange to yellow. And now in that spectrum, I can see where we're going from red down into some other colors here. What does yellow mean now?
Well, and actually, I had thought of it as down coming up. So
Okay. I
chakra
stand
and
corrected.
well, and if you turn it sideways, it's just directional. So the point of it is progression. And so with the yellow, I'm thinking more power. Do you have a sense of your own power? What you can accomplish, what you can't, either in the job that you're in the relationship that you're in. Are you communicating? Do you have a sense of your own power? When you feel helpless, then this area is thrown off, and
Mhm.
so you feel, again, you're worrying, what I call in the yellow spectrum. Do can I change my life, or can I not change my life?
Wow. Okay. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. And now we're getting into green. And so my guess is green is some movement. We're kind of moving and shifting. What does green mean?
So we're getting better here, is what that means. But there's always going to be concerns, from very serious concerns to maybe even intellectual concerns. And so the green is more in the center. And the green would be, similar to again, a chakra system. Is where am I in enjoyment of my life? Am I embracing the things that I want to embrace, or am I pushing them away? If I'm pushing them away, again, I may be unsettled because I'm not dealing with problems of relationships or problems uh, well, I guess primarily relationships. But am I doing what I love, and I like? Am I drawing enjoyment into me, or am I just business, 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 and I'm not focusing on enjoyment? So to me,
I
that
love
is
it.
also a sign of worry when you're not enjoying yourself too.
Okay. So this is a really, really important thing for people to get. I know people, Soulivity is about passion, purpose, and living. And so the passion is like that first kind of key, right? And part of that is getting into the awareness of what Kathryn's talking about right now, everybody, which is you're getting that sense. Really, is this really what am I in the job that I really want to do, or am I, but I'm just not in the environment, right? And so that's a key. So, again, I love this book. Oh, so good. All right. Now we're moving to Blue. Tell us about Blue.
So blue is when you're working to communicate with the world. You're working in trying to connect, and aside from being in a job, it's like, are you voicing your personality enough? Are you communicating sufficiently? If you have issues with communication, do you clam up and then you fester after that, or worry about it? So to me, blue is sort of the concern more coming up to your head a little bit about, are you working to vocalize things that you need to vocalize and share the emotion that you should be sharing but maybe aren't.
Oh,
Communicate.
wow.
Mhm.
Okay. Again, I'm on my second read already, so I'm like, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna like, okay, Brian, make sure you put these notes in here. I'm gonna like rewatch this. All right, two more to go. Indigo, which is one of my favorite colors. Indigo.
So indigo to me is, where am I connected to my life here on earth, and bridging that into the beyond? Where am I with connecting this life with beyond this life? Where am I in my spirit? And that's sort of connected to the next color. But the whole point is that when we enjoy our lives, it's not always just here. It's, are we giving back? What about the sense of sharing
Right.
what we know? What about helping others? And so this is the sense that you might be worried or feeling uncomfortable because you're not doing this.
Yeah.
And maybe this would enrich your soul and your life, but you're not doing it. So this story makes you pay attention to those aspects.
Oh, I love indigo. I'm loving that. And finally, but not least, and we're at the highest level now, violet, or violet, as they would say in
Or
France.
violet.
Ooh la la.
So this is the highest part, and this is, if your life is going very well, and you really don't have a lot of these other worries, or they come and go. What is your connection to your spirit? What is your connection to what you feel is spirit? Are you embracing that too? My mother played music, and at one point would hear music in her dreams. It would wake her up, and at the same time she was going to angel workshops. And so what was happening to my mother was, she was hearing angelic music, and she was good enough, is sort of self-taught, that she would go to the piano the next morning or that night, or start writing things down. She ended up producing at 65 years old. She started, and when she had a stroke at 83, she was on her 5th CD. So she was hearing this music, and then she got the idea, the feeling that she should be sharing it, not just keeping it in. So her connection to spirit was through angels, and the music is fantastic. And so to me, this type of worry is, are you fulfilling your highest purpose? And if you're not, why not? And your connection to spirit will help you understand what is your highest purpose, and are you doing that? You might be very worried thoughts because you need to get a little poke to pursue your passion and things that will enrich your soul.
Wow. So, I mean, again, and this is how this is all connected, and why we love having people like you on the show, because you're making the connections between things in our lives that we have to deal with internally and then externally, which all relate to our own highest good, our own creating our best life for not only ourselves, but through that giving and receiving something to the world. I mean, wow. Again, people, this is all connected, and now is the time to start learning about this, becoming more aware, and making the choice. Now, I kind of foreshadowed the next chapter by saying awareness and choice. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Um, Chapter 3 talks about this waking up to your hidden powers, awareness, and choice. And there's a beautiful quote at the first part of the chapter is to begin taking back the reins of control, you must first wake up. Right? It may not seem like you are slumbering when worry and fear dominate your life, but both numb your sense of joy and adventure. So this is just not something that, and when I read the rest of this is just not something that, oh well, maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll make the choice to start living or that kind of thing. Everything that you want to experience, the excitement of life, the pleasures of life, the connections with other people are all affected when you do not start tackling and bringing up your hidden powers. Am I right about that, Kathryn?
It's 100% great synopsis. It's like this is how to kickstart your life into higher gear, and this is square one. And it's the kind of thing that you think, well, I already know that. Well, actually, on an intellectual level, maybe you do, but on an emotional and spiritual level, you probably don't. If you're sunk in fear and have great anxiety, these are messages that are trying to wake up the slumbering you who isn't aware of your inner power and your ability to choose. So this whole chapter, the idea was to set the stage for making better choices because you're now aware of the way you're thinking, the way your life is operating, what you aren't doing that you actually should be doing to make for a happier life. So this was to set that stage, as you wonderfully summarized.
Wow. And remember, everybody, look, if you have any questions as we're going along, please feel free to post on our live chats and we'll get to them during the show. Okay. Um, Part of this is you talk about how we rewire. And there's two concepts that you talk about. It's kind of funny. I love your sense of humor. Um, it's Earl versus Pearl. And my guess is, Earl, like you get so tensed up that, you have to run to the bathroom and that kind of deal. And Earl.
Or Pearl.
And then finding a pearl, right? You're finding this pearl in your existence. Let's talk first about what do you mean when you say Earl? EARL.
So, and it isn't a name. I once talked to someone in a radio station in Tennessee, and he said, "Miss, half our listeners are named Earl." But I said, it's not about them, okay? It's not about Earl. It was something to represent a constellation of feelings.
Right.
I found in myself the push-pull, the polarity, and the happiness, unhappiness, the worry, the peace. There were two polarities. And when I was able to try to figure out what were the definitions and what was involved in those polarities, I came up with this, the acronym, and the EARL stands for exaggerated, angry, rigid, and limiting. When you have emotions that are exaggerated, that's the worst possible thing that happened. Angry, I can't stand it. Every day they're doing this. Rigid, my way or the highway. Or limiting, I don't think I can do that. So that constellation, how does it feel to be stuck and in these swimming in these negative emotions?
Right.
So part of awareness is being aware that of the Earl side, and then the balancing side is what I found to be Pearl, and that's peaceful. You're quiet, and this is a very quiet voice, not the shouting voice of the Earl side. Peaceful, adventurous. Adventurous, is that fun? Peaceful, adventurous, resilient, and that means bounce back. And loving. How does it feel to say loving versus anger? How does it feel to say when you say peaceful, adventurous, yeah, and all those energetic, the peaceful, energetic, adventurous, those are feelings that are help us to feel more positive. But the problem with Earl is that Earl is the voice of survival and shouts. It's like a police force who is trying to protect you, but not doing a very good job. And so the Pearl side is quiet and soft. but strong as steel. And that's what we need to pay attention to, become more aware of, is the constellations of feelings, emotions, and the spiritual side that's involved with the pearl idea.
Excellent, excellent. I love it. I love it. Um, One of the beautiful things in this book that you go into is something that's been kind of close to my heart for a long time, and it's part of the changing paradigm around how, even in psychology, how we think about how we operate emotionally and intellectually, all these different things that are happening in it, and of course it relates to worrying, and that is heart math. This is like the first book in a long time that, and we were talking about this earlier, about the physical connection, an electromagnetic connection that scientists discovered many years ago between the heart and the brain. First, kind of give us the quick high level overview of the connection that they found and why it's so important to learning how we can manage worry to the point at which we can make better choices.
Well, I think sometimes the heart is, you just focus on heart attack, or just the things about a pump. It's so much more than just a pump. It forms first in an embryo, and from the organs. And the heart, the idea of the Heart and Heart Math Institute, which if you're not familiar with it, my suggestion is to check it out. And actually, Beyond Words has a wonderful CD about the heart as well. So the idea is that it is a center that is strong, has more magnetism than the brain. It has a very strong electrical impulse. There are physical things that actually make it stronger than the brain. Signals go from the heart to the brain, as well as from the brain to the rest of the body. And there are things that you can, Heart Math has been able to do things such as people holding hands and then measuring the heart rate of that as an energetic measurement.
Right.
And if someone is in a really bad mood, like a husband or something is in a really bad mood, and then the husband and wife hold hands, she now has a similar rate than what he has. So in other words, it can pass from one to another, whether it's by holding or whether it's by just the waves that emanate from that area. I remember once doing an exercise in a class.
Mm-hmm.
We all stood around and we were holding hands, and the last person was holding a little ball, like a tennis, a ping pong ball
Mm-hmm.
that would light up. And it didn't light up until the very last person held the hand. Once we held hands and we're in a circle, that light bulb lit up. So
Wow.
we completed a circuit. So there's energy, there's electricity, there's magnetism. There are probably other forces than we are able to measure right now. It has a copy of every single neuropeptide receptor that's found in the brain. The heart does. They're actually found in the gut as well. So there's massive amounts of communication going on. And we know it from our language. You could talk about, I have a heartache. You don't say I have a brain ache. You know, this is heartfelt. You don't say this is brain felt. So you can see that our language is robust with the idea somehow on an inner level. I think we know that the heart is the key to a lot of our happiness, and it's represented that way. But it's also something we need to pay attention to, related to worry and spirituality.
Wow. Okay. So we're going to take a pause for the cause here. We're going to do a quick commercial break. And when we come back, Kathryn, what I want to go into is I won't say higher level, but it's the next level of how all this relates to how we perceive our world and how we create and manifest our world, right? How we experience our environment. So everyone, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be back with more Why Worry and Kathryn Tristan. See you soon.
Some people have a posture in which the shoulders round Some people have a belly that came from long hours working in a computer, driving, grabbing your baby. The posture change with your lifestyle. So we have to reprogram our posture in order to have a better lifestyle. So what is important here to know? Our core, the house of our body, with the roof here, the diaphragm, with the pelvic floor that is the ground, and the whole core muscles are the walls of the house, have to work properly in order to have a good posture and a good movement.
Watch Body Fit with Alexa Marine every Monday and Thursday at 9 a.m. right here on Soulivity TV. Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame, living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime. All right, welcome back to Soulivity Live, everyone. I'm Brian Wesley Johnson. We're back with Kathryn Tristan and her book, Why Worry? All right, so Kathryn, when we left off, we were talking about awareness and choice, and how even our body connects through heart math around, how we experience our world, right? And there's a beautiful piece in the book around how this relates to how we experience life, and I'll go in here and I'm going to try to find the piece that I'm talking about, because there's a great quote in here. There's great quotes, everybody.
Yeah, I think quotes can say a lot in just a sentence. People wiser than me, and I wanted to take advantage of some of that wisdom. So I always search for a good quote.
So actually, but this is like something from you. So this is right after the subchapter. So do you see how little thoughts add up to be big thoughts? Thoughts are like the air blown into a balloon. Wow. Tell us about why that is so true, and why we need to monitor and manage our thoughts about everything.
Well, this is one of the analogies that I use if I'm speaking, because a part of the problem, what we're doing is we're blowing up the worry balloon, the anxiety balloon. And I say, if you keep blowing air, which is worry, into a balloon, it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, there are a couple of outcomes that could have. One would be, did you ever pull the neck of the balloon and hear it go squeak? So it's coming out, but it's squeaky. And so to me, it's sort of whiny. You're worrying and you're deflating the balloon, but it's because you're whining or complaining all the time. And then there's another way where if you blow into the balloon, then it's just like, that's enough air in that balloon, and you let it go, and it's going to fly across the room, like as if you fly out of your anger, just like boom, it's done. Right. But then if you keep blowing air into the balloon, your worry thoughts, the other outcome is that it can just explode, and that can either be like a panic attack, or that could be just all out war with whatever it is you're trying to figure out. So the idea is blow less of the negative thoughts into it, or allow it to be not as big as you're going to have these major outcomes. So right. Tackle your worry. And that's why in the book I have so many different strategies. Like, there are ways you can help yourself and not to get to this point. But that's a very easy analogy, I think, to understand.
I love it because, again, not only is it easy to understand, when you are going through things, like if you're meditating and you're feeling something, you can literally kind of imagine in your mind's eye, this is, is that balloon expanding or contracting, right? Is what I'm thinking about creating more of this negative energetic energy around me? I mean, we call it negative, more the Earl. And so we got to be careful. We have to be, you know, deliberate about, in a spiritual way, about what we're practicing on a daily basis.
Yes, recognition, because if you see you're blowing it, if you become aware, again, back to that, if you see that balloon is starting to get bigger, it's like, oh, wait a minute, I've done this before, but I'm choosing not to do this again. So
Right.
it's going to happen. Worries are going to happen, anxiety, terrible things like pandemics, things are going to happen, but it's how you manage it that's going to help you the most.
Right. And and this is in chapter 4, everybody, of the book. How you think about anything determines how you experience everything. And at the beginning, there be, again, another great quote: our mental commentary influences and colors our feelings and perceptions about what's going on in our lives. It is these thought forms that ultimately attract and create everything that happens around us. So once again, it's a reaffirmation that, what we think is what we create. What we think is what we ultimately, if we're not careful, it's what we believe. We're not giving ourselves another choice to create a new normal. I'm remembering in one Soulivity Live with my folks, everybody who's watched the show know Mom and Dad, Melvin, Jesse Johnson, who are on tomorrow, talk about, in psychology and therapy, and I'm sure you're going to think about this too, Kathryn, where it's not necessarily about replacing, it's about adding. So like when you're talking about the worry spectrum, right? All those things exist. They're not going to go anywhere. So you can't replace the red part of the spectrum where you're stop, you're going through this, and just throw an indigo in there and the red goes away. No, the red is still there. You're just making the choice between where do you want to be and creating the new normal. How Tell us about this chapter in the book, because I think it's really, really important for people to get this part of it, because for me, this is the why this is so. I love the fact that you go through the descriptions and give people the information that they need, but why is it so important to stop worrying and start living? Tell us about this chapter from your own perspective.
So this chapter was designed to help us savor life, not just taste it, not just change the meal, but to savor everything that we have in our lives. Because when I was overcoming worry and anxiety, yeah, you can do cognitive behavioral therapy. That's a help. You can eat better, you can exercise. But until you step into your spirit, until you take that step into your soul purpose, into your spirit purpose,
Mm-hmm.
what you really want to do with your life that maybe you're not doing, you're going to continue to have these worry thoughts that you have to use the behavior, changing thoughts process, letting air out of the balloon. This chapter start stepping into what is your joy? Why aren't you doing it? Think about doing it. How can you do it? How can you connect with higher spirit? How can you connect with higher help?
Mm-hmm.
And how can you learn to emphasize your spiritual and your desires for a better life on that level as much as you emphasize the life on the physical level?
Yeah.
So this was stepping into, by your mind and by your envisioning, what kind of a life you would like to lead, because that would be a less anxious life when you're doing something you really love to do.
Mm-hmm. You're singing my words. I'm hearing that Bob Marley in my head now.
I love Bob Marley.
And everyone, I'm kind of focusing in on this chapter because I think it's important. Um, there's a couple of different concepts that you talk about in this chapter specifically, and one of them is how you talk to yourself. Oh man, the self-talk that we say, oh, I'm so crazy, or I'm so bad, or, Brian, why did you have to do that, Brian? Oh, you're such an idiot. I mean, all the self-talk, and you talk about creating manifestos. Tell us about why that's important. What is creating a manifesto in the context of this, and then why is that so important?
In a perfect world, we wouldn't have to create manifestos because everyone would have supported us. Our parents would have always told us the exact right thing, and no one would ever have put us down for a mistake that we made.
Right.
Unfortunately, what we hear a lot of times is, "Oh, I'm so stupid." You've heard that. You're so stupid. You've incorporated that, or you're not good enough. Or you feel like you're not good enough. So that leaves you in a very weakened physical state, leaves you in a weakened mental state, it leaves you in a weakened spiritual state. So the way to get out of that is to sing a new tune, to talk to yourself differently than what you're hearing from basically how you've been raised or what you've been led to at this point. So creating manifestos is like, what would I like to manifest in my life? I was doing that. I wanted to be able to travel without feeling or fearing I might panic. I wanted to be able to just even go outside the area of St. Louis. I had issues like that. But the other side is, what wasn't I doing that I wanted to do? And so that was like keeping me in my own nice little comfortable bubble.
Yeah.
So creative manifestos is like, what do you want? What would you like? And then you create these, and they're positive, they're powerful, they're not wimpy, and they're in the present tense. So, I am strong and healthy. I am creative and loving. I have a wonderful personality. So tell yourself a different story than the one that you have developed at this point. When you say that enough, you wire that particular part of your brain into coming to that section first, as opposed to "you're so stupid" section first. So it's a matter of repetition. It's a matter of doing it the right way. Say it in the present moment, not like "I want to lose weight." I say, "I am healthy and fit."
Wow.
And so, and the weight loss could be because you get very sick. So you don't want to just lose weight. You want to be healthy and fit. So you turn your sentences around, but you also turn your thought process around too.
Right. Everyone, one great way of creating a practice around that is something that already exists. I'm sure that you've heard this before, treasure mapping, vision boards are all processes, and there's many other ones, but they're all processes to keep us grounded in, and this is just not, pie in the sky kind of stuff. You're literally kind of reprogramming your brain, your heart, around who am I? I'm not, you are not what you were taught as a kid, a lot of times in terms of, the socialization of, you're an idiot, Brian, or you should do better. You'll never be as better as your brother. I mean, all these kind of talks that are generational kinds of things. You are creating a new normal. And this is what helps. One other important concept around this that you say in this chapter is, I know this is something that I know a lot of you out there deal with. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to I gotta wait. I can't put it on a board, or I can't write it down, or I can't say it until it's absolutely perfect. Tell us why that is not true.
And I will firstly admit, I'm still working on this one.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Well, and so, there's a fine line between things being perfect and imperfect. It's a definition, and actually being perfect is highly overrated. It's the mistakes we make that give us good stories for the future. It's the mistakes we make maybe that teach us about something. In science, you set up an experiment, you go through all these zillions of steps, and if it works out, woohoo. But it's the ones that don't work out that teach you the most, because it teaches me, oh, that's important and I left that out by accident, or this isn't working, so I have to change this to make it work, and that's because this step must be important. So mistakes can be, you've heard that it can be stepping stones.
Right.
And it's just a really tough thing when if you've maybe been programmed to do it right the first time, and it's like it's just not the case. um, Imperfection is a wonderful thing, and I think I talked about something called wabi sabi in that chapter. It's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
Buddhist
I
or a
love it.
Japanese philosophy that embraces the imperfect, the worn out, and then like in Japan, in the wabi sabi section, there's an old ancient vase, and it's a beautiful ancient vase, but it has a crack in it, and they have a spotlight shining on the vase,
Hmm.
but it's shining on the crack, because wabi sabi embraces things that aren't perfect, because it's perfect in its own way. And that's what we have to give to ourselves, is that you don't have to be perfect. That's maybe somebody else's definition. And mistakes can actually be helpful, teach you more than you learn by being perfect.
Excellent. So everybody embrace all of that. I know from my own journey that like your feelings, like if you're feeling worry about something, embrace that feeling, because then that will guide you to the next step, to the next step, to the next step. I'll give this one for free. It's something that my grandfather told my father, and then my father told me, and it was make uh, stepping stones out of mountains, sees victory from defeat. Simple, very simple. You
Very
know,
wise,
it
very
just
wise
it
too.
just you know. So take that and keep on your journey, everybody. So, as always, Kathryn, again, you have a lot of practical things in the book, a lot of practical steps. And so, one thing that I want to do is give people a little bit of practical kind of practicum to take with them. They can kind of do this. Doesn't mean that you don't buy the book, everybody. You got to buy the book because there's more in here. I'm not even to half of the stuff that's in here. So you got to go buy the book. So this is a little teaser so that it will get you to go out there and go to Amazon or Beyond Books and grab this sucker. 10 ways to worry smart. How do you worry smart? I mean, this is great. One, and I'm going to go through this
Good.
list with you, right? The first way to worry smart, create a power phrase. Tell us about what that means, creating a power phrase.
I'll handle it. This day and age, one of the power phrases would be, I'll handle it. Always
Mm.
have, always will. Or this too shall pass. My mom had five kids, raised five kids, and was divorced in an era where that wasn't really too much too seen. You just stayed miserable in your marriage. She would always say, this too shall pass. So, so for her power phrase was, Lord, this too shall pass.
I'm loving your mom. I'm loving your mom. One of mine that I use often is to thine own self be true.
Mm-hmm.
To thine own self be true. So it grounds me, right? I know in my heart what I need to do. So to thine own self be true.
When you
Uh,
are true to yourself, you're not worried about others. You're not worried about your life has gotten to the point where you are being true to your life's purpose. And so what's
ex-
there to worry about?
exactly, exactly. All right. Number two, the second way to worry smart is keep calm and carry on. Woo! I'm loving that. I had to put a little soul on it because that's how I hear it. Tell us about that. Keep calm and carry on.
Well, and that's the kind of thing where you see that with the crown. I guess it's like the idea is it's going to do what it's going to do.
Right.
I've got to be true to myself, and I have to just keep going. I have to ask for help. And the thing is, if I'm all upset, initially, maybe I am upset, but then I need to be aware that I am, and then bring that down a notch. And now be calm. And when you're in a calm state, you can ask for help and healing from the highest sources. You can ask, whether it's physical help or whether it's spiritual help. But
Right.
first, you got to get into that calm, energetic space.
Right, right. All right. We're going to do one more, and then we got a question, and then we'll go through the rest. So, the third way of worrying smart is postpone worrying or set a future time to consider issues. How brilliant is that? I'm not going to worry. Have your people talk to my people, and we'll worry about that later. Tell us about that.
I think that's what I would say internally. It's to say, help your people talk to my people. And I think that would be kind of a fun way to do it. Sometimes you have to, your mind. I say your power is in your third thought. Your first thought is the negative energy. Your second thought is your upbringing, but your third thought is, this is what I think I can do. I can choose. So the power of the third thought is your power to postpone worry. Maybe you need to write your worries and say, you know what, I'm going to write about this later. Writing about worries, a couple of times a week for maybe 10 or 15 minutes, puts it on paper, gets it out of your head. So
Wow.
Postpone it till you can write about it.
Wow, I love it. I love it. All right. So we got a question that came in from one of our chats. This is from Maria. Hi, Maria. How are you? And welcome to Soulivity Live. Maria says, how can we apply that? I guess she's talking about the processes within the book in today's climate. How can we change our way of thinking when dealing with the pandemic? Wow, that's a great question. Thank you, Maria, for that.
And this is like the red zone, right, Maria? It's like it's just there. It's in your face. So there are a number of things you can do. One of them is to actually take a news break. First thing you see that in the morning, the last thing you go to at night, you take it a little bit out of your space. The other thing is be aware that your mind is how your mind is working. I've got a little exercise in the editorial at Soulivity talk about the stop, look, and listen method. That's a method. There's also a method where when you wake up in the morning and before you go to sleep at night or during the day, do this 5-minute mental reset. Cross your hands over your heart while you're deep breathing. Close your eyes. You think of something that you like, something that's pleasant. Take some more deep breaths while your nice warm hands are over your heart. Now think of someone or something you love, things that you love. And again, dwell there for a little bit with your hands crossed, breathing deeply. And just do that for a few minutes. And then come out of it slowly. But just 5 minutes will help break the cycle of just feeling anxious. And it also makes you feel, I can do something to help myself when these things happen. You might need to have people help you depending on what your situation is. And you may need to get financial help. You may need to get psychological help, talk to a physician, a psychologist. But there are things that you can do to help yourself. Take control of your mind, practice this type of exercise, and also to stop, look, and listen. Snare that thought, that panicky or anxious thought, and fill it with other things that you can also say to yourself. We will get through this, and this is very difficult, but it's something we have to be in for the long haul. But strategies you can do, and check my website too, because I have, I think, 5 or 6 things that are concrete you can do to help yourself. But those are just some real quick ones. So there are a lot of things you can do to help yourself.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And great question, Maria. I mean, again, worrying. That's what we're doing in this pandemic. This is things that we talked about this off air, where these are things that we've never experienced and won't experience in our lifetime and our children's lifetime and their children's lifetime. It's like centuries kind of stuff, like since the plague, right? All right. Well, you stole the thunder on number 4, which is write about your worries. But so we got that one. Number 5, ways to worry smart. Imagine the best case scenario. So it goes again to, that's kind of maybe the other side of creating manifestos, my guess is. So talk about that. Imagine your best case scenario.
So you might have to ask at this point, we're in a pandemic. How can we imagine anything except being in a pandemic? Well, and this is not pie in the sky kind of stuff. No, we're not trying to change the globe with this kind of thought. But what we're trying to say, how do I get through today? How can I create something that's enjoyable today? Have a routine if you don't have one. Break your routine, maybe. And so part of that is the whole idea is just make some changes, but also envision this is going to be a good day. Instead of me thinking this is going to be an awful day, you could also think just as well, I'm going to use this day productively, or not going to work today. I'm going to just be with the kids and not try to do work and kids this day. It's stressing me out. Or it's like, I have to go to the grocery store, but I'm going to mask up and I'm going to go at a time when maybe people aren't there. Or if it's too busy, I'm going to come back home. Whatever feels comfortable. I can envision enjoying my day. I can envision, talking to someone, or how can I help myself? That kind of envisioning. All those things are your choices. And you can't change the pandemic. That's out of our control. The only thing you can control is how you react to it, but also how you react to your day and how you react to your moments. You have more control than you think, but it's inner control.
I love it. And this relates to number 6. And I think you were kind of talking about this. That is, plan for how you will handle negative outcomes. So, you imagine the best case scenario, but you don't have to wait till something happens. Right? You can actually be proactive about it, right? Exactly, right? Since we're running out of time, we're going to kind of run through these last 3. Number 7, exercise or work out. Great. Endorphins are released. You're pumping iron. I mean, look, that's a good one. I think everybody, and I mean, it's good for the body, it's good for the soul, right? Number 8, spend time quietly relaxing or out in nature. Again, you were talking about this before, Kath. I mean, quiet space, just breathe, right? It matters. Take a walk, right?
Mother Nature is very healing too. If you can get out, even in your own backyard, break it and go hug a tree.
I'll hug a tree in a minute.
Break the pattern.
All right, number 9. And let's do it. Let's do number 9 together. Smile. Take it all less seriously and less personally. Smile.
Smiling releases mood-enhancing endorphins, whether you mean it or not.
Right.
It's going to do that. So if you have to grit, but if you
we're laughing already.
If you mean it, I think you release more endorphins. So keep, smile, be happy, move. You can do it.
I love it. I love it. All right. And number 10, which is so important. Ready, everybody? Take a worry-free day at least once a week. Wow. How important is that?
Yourself. If you're at home with the kids, figure out a way for someone else to be with the kids, and you take some time off, or don't homeschool that day. Take something, make changes. Take the day off. If you're in a better mood, your kids will be in a better mood, and your partner will be in a better mood. So yeah, be proactive about it.
Wow. Well, thank you so much. All right. So some more quick updates before we do our send off here. Now, earlier in the month, we kicked off an exciting new collaboration with Beyond Words Publishing. And as part of this collaboration, all of you get to benefit. We are doing giveaways. We are giving great gifts like last week, Paul O'Brien's I Ching vision cards, or even Kathryn Tristan book, Why Worry? Yes! Now, if you want the chance to receive a great giveaway from Soulivity and Beyond Words, you need to join our new Soulivity Magazine book club, Inspiration Central, on Facebook. I'll be posting the details within the chat, so you can go and join the club. And in the club itself, we'll be posting details about all our fantastic giveaways there. We'll be giving away great gifts and books over the next few months. Make sure you join the book club and watch this space. So coming next Saturday, we have even more great inspiration with our collaboration. We'll be talking with Madison Taylor, award-winning and best-selling author of Daily Om, Inspirational Thoughts for a Happy, Healthy, and Fulfilling Day. In this next show, we'll be talking about her latest book, Unmedicated, The 4 Pillars of Natural Wellness, which describes her personal journey of struggling through the complications of prescription Medicare and inattentive healthcare. So please, you do not want to miss this powerful show. And remember, don't forget to check out Soulivity TV, available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just for you. Airing live tomorrow, morning yoga with Michaela at 12, and live with Jesse and Melva, or as I call them, Mom and Dad, at 5:30. Check out our website for more information. So, Kathryn, this has been so cool. Would you come back?
So much. Thank you for having me.
Would you come back?
I would love to come back.
Yes. All right. Everybody, the book is Why Worry from Kathryn Tristan. You can see it right there. It is amazing. So go out and get it. I'll be posting information to the feed later, so you can go check out her website. You can follow her on her social media, and you can read information about Beyond Words as well. So, Kathryn, I guess it's time for us to say adieu. I know.
Wait a minute.
I know, but we'll smile. We'll smile.
It's all good.
Well, listen, everybody. Well, until next time, on behalf of myself and Kathryn, this is Brian Wesley Johnson, wishing you all a life full of passion, purpose, and high quality living. Bye-bye now.